All right.
Ready when you guys are.
Ready.
All right.
Ready.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Coffee and One Thing, where we're caffeinated and motivated. Today, we're going to talk about, should you be concerned about buying a second home? Right?
Absolutely.
That's
Yeah.
the question.
We should.
Things to think
Okay.
about?
Yep. This month's coffee is Starbucks House Blend. That's Elaine's favorite.
Well, I don't know about favorite, but I like
One
it.
of your favorites.
There we go.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah, nice and smooth.
It is. Okay. I'll have to try that sometime. Can I take one?
Absolutely.
Okay. What?
It works. Advertising works. Look at that, people.
Look at that.
Took a couple filmings to get that across, but
But now he's going to try it out.
Yeah.
See?
so
You're
what-
welcome, Starbucks.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. Yep, they're not going to give us anything for that.
It's the Beery White of coffee. Smooth.
There you go.
Smooth, baby.
That's
right.
awesome.
All
So
right.
what should our clients or those out there listening be concerned about when it comes to second
Should
home?
we define second home versus income
I think
property?
that's a good idea.
Yes.
Let's
So,
define that first.
I interrupted, but
No, that's good.
So let's define
I'm
it.
okay with that.
You go, girl.
well, so when we talked to Mary, episode 41, who's a lender, she helped us with that. So a second home has to be 75 miles away from your primary residence
Right.
to qualify. It
Not
can't be.
74.5. 70
I wonder if they really like.
They're
And
probably
is it
pretty
as the
precise
crow
on that.
flies, or is it driving?
yeah. That's
Like
fair.
if you get into a neighborhood that's really like curlicue, can it be closer?
I don't think so.
Oh, but
See, I always wonder, like, who checks that?
It sounds like
an
they do.
underwriter.
It sounds like they do.
Do they use MapQuest?
So,
Okay, so back on track. A second home is 75 miles away from your primary
75,
residence
right.
or more. An income property or an investment property, excuse me,
is what you make income
is
on.
what
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can't make income off your second home,
Right.
is what she said. So there's the difference. And there is a difference in down payment amounts.
10% on a second home as opposed to 20 to 25% for income
Right.
Right.
property.
That's a chunk.
So that's a big difference, yeah.
And the interest rates
And
are
your
different
interest rates are different. Yeah.
for both.
For both of them are different. So you have for investment property, your higher interest rate because you're more of a risk than if you're basically getting your regular primary rate for a second home.
Now, as
Okay.
far as debt to income, that's an interesting thought too, right? Because so if you're buying a second home, you have to be able to qualify for both mortgages.
Right.
Right.
If you're buying an investment property and you are going to rent it, they'll take 75% of that income into consideration to offset the debt.
75% of the rent. Yeah.
Of the rent.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's all kinds of pieces there that are that
It's a lot to think
make
about.
sure that you talk to the lender before you jump out
And talk to somebody
Right.
who knows.
Yes.
like Team Beery.
Right.
Yeah.
And then there's other things to consider like maintenance.
That's a big one.
Yeah.
I think people forget about that. Typically, like just an average rule of thumb, 1% over the cost of the houses is what you're going to have for maintenance a year. That's just a rule of thumb. So, so if you think you're buying a $400,000 house, then plan on about $4,000 that you'll probably have to do painting and buy an air conditioner at some point and hot water heater and you're just regular normal maintenance stuff. So if you have that in your head, at least now you know kind of some numbers as to put onto a spreadsheet because
Right.
everybody loves spreadsheets.
Well, and I think the big thing too, here in the Valley of the Sun, we have a lot of winter visitors. So someone who lives a substantial distance away owns a property in the valley. And so what does that look like, and how are you going to prep for that?
Right.
And who's going to, if something does go wrong, who's going to help you mitigate that?
Right. And that's why, like, sometimes if you haven't lived under a rock, you probably have heard of a home warranty company. And those companies, could facilitate some of that for you, So
But a lot of even home warranty companies, if they're sending a vendor to your house, they expect an adult to be present
correct. That is
to
true.
let them in,
Right.
give them access. So even those things, like either make really good friends with somebody who lives there year round, or a lot of
or
people
find
use
a property management company or somebody who is like a company
Offers
that's
that type of
specific-
service.
Yeah.
Or neighbor, if it's in the
Right.
55 plus community.
Yeah, there's always
Well,
neighbors
you're
and
not
stuff.
there.
I knew a
but
lady that
year-round
she
neighbors are.
lived in a community where there were a lot of winter visitors, and so she would go by their house every couple of weeks.
Flush the toilets.
Yeah.
Do the
Yeah, and that was a service that she offered.
Mm-hmm.
So there are resources.
Oh yeah, for sure. But you got to have all that
Plan
lined
for
up,
it.
right? And know that that's going to be probably an extra cost, and be ready for that kind of stuff. So
That's a good retirement job for me.
there you go. You can just go around flushing
No,
people's toilets.
I
Do I have to live in the community to do that?
No, because it's not a community service.
Yeah.
It's just something,
right.
like to me, yeah. Start a business, Scott.
Okay.
I'll help advertise.
I have to crawl out from under my rock first.
Oh my gosh.
Okay.
What else?
There's taxes.
So that's a big one. There's taxes involved in any
Right.
time you're buying property.
Right.
And not just income taxes, or
Right.
not just personal taxes, but or not just property taxes. That's what I was trying to say. Property tax.
But there is tax on the income you make, isn't there?
There is
Yeah.
tax
If
on
you're
it.
doing an investment property.
Right.
Right.
But a second home?
Well, not so much a second home, but I'm obviously not your tax consultant. Make
Really?
sure that you talk to your tax consultant.
Not Elaine Beery,
Um,
CPA.
But if you have a secondary home and you decide to sell it at some point, what does that look
What
like?
do you
because
do?
your
Yeah.
primary residence, you have some homestead, offset. But is there for that? I don't know. Let's have
You wanna check
you want
with
to
them.
talk with them.
Martinez and
Martinez and Schenken can probably help you with that.
they were one of our previous podcast guests.
Yeah,
So, yeah. Good things to think about.
for sure.
Right. And another thing to consider is when buying a second home, you can prepare for retirement. My question would be then, can you buy an income property that you could eventually turn into your second or your retirement home?
Your primary.
So you can buy an income property and have that, absolutely. But is there any tax benefits? I don't know about that.
Okay.
I would say that that's a question for
All right.
Deb Martinez
But
as well.
that's something to consider where if you like the city you live in and you want to downsize at some point, you can
maybe think ahead and
buy
buy
an
something that
investment
you
property that you
absolutely.
can turn
Well,
into your
And yeah,
residence at some point.
like thinking along that lines.
Right.
Right. Mary talked about how you can use like 401k or some of those kind of things in regards to buying an investment property as
Using it as your
collateral.
Well,
or
it's not so much
not
the
collateral,
collateral,
but-
it's more for your reserves, because you have to
Okay.
have reserve
So-
monies if you're doing an investment
That's right.
property.
So if someone is thinking about retirement and thinking about, I do want to downsize and I'm interested in buying a property now,
Because
Right.
in 5 years or 10
And
years,
gaining
it might
equity.
be more
Yeah.
expensive to buy it.
Right. We just had a client we helped whose husband
Absolutely.
had bought a second home that he rented out, and he had since passed away. So we helped her sell her property where
Right.
she could move into the rental property.
Right.
And they had such clean renters, it was phenomenal for her to move into.
Yeah.
nice.
Right.
Well, and if you use Guild Mortgage, if down
You
the
could
road
recast
you
that
can
into-
recast
Uh-huh.
Right.
that mortgage.
Right.
You can take your proceeds from your current home and recast. Y'all, we just made you a great plan.
And you're making tons of money on that.
And you didn't have to
Yeah.
find one 75 miles away.
Exactly.
So there's a lot of pieces
Right.
there that could really
Yeah.
Now,
make sense
maybe you
for
want to
people.
be 75 miles away from the city.
Well, and
Yeah.
I've
No,
seen,
that's different.
yeah, well, like Mary mentioned, I mean, what a beautiful area that we live in that you can drive 75 miles away
you're in
and be in the
mountains.
mountains and
Yeah.
have a different climate
Right.
and whatnot. And I've seen people buy, well, obviously it wouldn't be qualify as a second home because they are doing Airbnb.
Right. So it'd
But-
be investment.
Yeah.
Right. Right. But that's okay.
Okay.
So
lots of possibilities.
Lots of things to think about. So if you want to know more about that,
Go to
reach out to
teamberry.com.
teamberry.com, and there's all kinds of resources there
Yep.
for you.
Yep.
And we would love to
Yep.
help you out. Find that next
Absolutely.
house.
And remember
fun.
to always use
A very
A
good
very
team.
good team.
And please like, subscribe, or share.
Thanks, y'all. Oh, sorry.
If you found this informative. Apparently, they just want to shut me up. Bye-bye.
Too many pauses. I just jump right in.
Somebody had too much house blend.
And then back down on the couch.